Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to another session here in Readers Magnet's featured author interview. My name is Leanne. I will be your host for today, and with me is one of the Readers Magnet's featured author. And today, he will be sharing to us what this book is all about, him as an author, and of course, what inspired him to write this book. So, yes, everyone, let's all welcome our one and only Mr. Subhranil Day, author of the book The Time on the Gravel Roads. All right. Hello, Subs. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing,
It's good
Leah?
to see you. Doing great as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so yes, Subs, this is the moment that we've been waiting for because it's now time to know more information about your book. But of course, before we do that, we wanted to know who Mr. Shubranil Day is. So, a little bit of self introduction, please.
So my name is Subhranil, and Suvs is a nickname I often go by. So I teach physics at Indiana University Southeast. So I have been
Whoa.
teaching here for the last 16 years, since 2008. Um, and I was born in India. I have a colorful history. I lived in different places, much of which was during my childhood and boyhood days, in the context of my father being a nuclear physicist himself. So then eventually I came to the United States as a graduate student, and
Mhm.
then this book is a memoir pertaining to the phase between finishing grad school and coming here on a tenure track, on which I'll elaborate in a moment. But then I have been teaching here at Indiana University Southeast, a very dear place, for the last 16 years.
Wow. So it's actually like a journey which is connecting your passion and your career at the same time.
Sure, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, Subes. All right, so yes, Subes, of course, we wanted to know more information about your book, and thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, so I wanted to, highlight the book cover. It is so good, and also the title, "The Time on the Gravel Road." So yes, will you please tell us what this book is all about?
So the brief uh, way to describe the book would be that it's a memoir of that 6 year long phase between finishing grad school and starting at IU Southeast on a tenure track. So there is a sentimental backstory behind the book. Therefore it's long awaited endeavor, close to heart. So, as many academicians know who are like trying to become eventually a tenured professor, that
Mhm.
phase between finishing your doctoral studies and finally landing a tenure track position is often stricken with anxiety and uncertainty, and you're longing for that home down the road, the permanent home down the road. So, so that is the phase in my life that this book is about. But in my case, so for my in my specific situation, for that 6 year period, uh, the first half of that phase, roughly the first half, was postdoctoral research, and then I
Mhm.
had to teach as a lecturer, as a temporary lecturer, first in North Dakota, then in Minnesota. It turned out to
Wow.
be, to gain some fresh teaching experience as a full-time teacher before I can apply for a tenure track position, before I have the fresh teaching credentials. So, but that is how that phase was divided. So,
Process stages. Mhm.
right. So, at heart, I consider myself to be a poet. Uh, um, Person who has a passion for beauty of nature, beauty in its different
Wow.
dispositions, and lyrical verse. So the postdoctoral phase, the research during that phase was stricken with anxiety, and I was going through various challenges in the context of my research. So often, what I would do is I would embark on back road travels, like often just brief afternoon travels on some back road, some country road, dirt road, gravel road, or like
Mhm.
sometimes make a longer trip during weekends. And um, during these travels on back roads, I would be seeking and finding delight and solace in encounters with nature. And then what I
Wow.
used to do is I would write often write short travelogues about those experiences in the voice of a poet, and shared those with my friends by email. So I had an email list, and some members on that list are have been there for the last 25 years. So many of these dear people, they uh, fortunately adored the way I write. So they found something
Mm-hmm.
really evocative and poetic in the way I describe things I love, including the beauty of nature. And they told me to write a book. If I survive that anxiety stricken phase, all right, hopefully about down the road, then uh, they told me to eventually write a book about that phase that would also, so in that same voice of a poet, of course they wanted me to write it, and that would also be a testament to the power, the power of nature's beauty and the power of poetry, when like somebody who's a poet at heart is dealing with anxiety and uncertainty and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. So that was the first nascence of the idea. But then during the second phase of that,
Amazing.
uh, so during that second phase of that like 6 year nomadic period,
Mm-hmm.
came a huge surprise that I was not initially expecting. So when I was teaching in North Dakota, I was teaching these large classes, and I was a young teacher back then. So that was 2006 when it was North Dakota. So starting that fall, and I connected with students, and there was a burst of hope in like different forms. First of all, the successful teaching as a lecturer, so I was almost like their big brother figure, a friendly, approachable teacher, and uh, the success in teaching, of course, meant a lot because I'm like
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to a tenure track opportunity very soon
Exactly.
at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
also when like some of these people were not my students anymore, I became friends with them, and
Mm-hmm.
I received so much love and that human cordiality at unexpected places, like of all places in North Dakota, where I had never thought I would ever be. And it's a beautiful place, and I would always forever be grateful to North Dakota and the university and my mentors there. So then, to make a long story short, I decided, when I fortunately did receive this tenure track opportunity, and finally was here since 2008, I decided to craft a memoir of that 6 year nomadic period that would be a testament to both the power of poetry and nature's beauty, but also the power of love and human connections. Um, so that is what this book is about. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that, Subhranil. And you know what? It's actually a good thing knowing that, someone wanted to also share their, own experience, jotting down notes. And at the same time, it's not just about you sharing the journey.
Yeah.
What was your experience before when it comes to teaching,
Yeah.
having these interaction with people, with your students? Because at the same time, your book serves, it is really giving us the idea of knowing what are the positive effects of nature's beauty.
Mhm.
Especially you mentioned earlier that it can really reduce, let's say reduce anger, fear, anxiety,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stress. All these increases pleasant feelings, and it's actually a good thing. That someone really needs to be exposed to nature. Not only makes us feel better,
Yeah,
emotionally, it
yeah.
really does, contribute to our, what they call this one, physical well-being,
Right, right, right,
reducing blood pressure,
right,
yes,
right, right.
heart
Right.
rate,
Yeah, yeah,
and other tension, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
actually a good thing that you also shared in this book on how to really embrace what we have naturally. Wow,
Hmm.
it's just so amazing. Now, um, in the journey of writing, Suves,
Yeah.
I wanted to know, is there like, because I know that this book of yours is really such a successful creation. Because I've seen it online as well. You've been getting a lot of positive feedbacks, good reviews from your readers. Now, is there a most like challenging aspect of writing your book, or what, or let's say, what was the challenging part of writing this book?
So the wonderful challenge that I felt. So it was challenging, like this aspect was challenging, but still like something I love to embrace. Um, because there are good challenges in life and not so meaningful challenges. But the good
Mm-hmm.
but substantial challenge in the context of writing this book was how to concatenate all the different ingredients uh, for the whole 6 year period. So I realized when I first started crafting the book as in the form of a book, that writing a travelogue for a weekend trip or for an afternoon drive, which will be just a few paragraphs, and even
Mm-hmm.
like if you're a sincere author or a poet, you write it spontaneously, but you might want to edit it a couple times before you send it out to anybody to read. But it's
Mm-hmm.
still a much quicker and in a way a much easier thing, especially for someone like who already is a poet at heart. But when you are now concatenating the different ingredients, the different experiences that
Mm-hmm.
some of which pertains to the nature travel and the beauty of nature, and the beauty of like everyday surroundings with human
Mm-hmm.
interactions and some unexpected
Nice.
drama that took place, some very humorous moment in classrooms, because I laugh a lot with my students, and that happened profusely in North Dakota with the huge classes and me being a young big brother kind of a teacher. um, and then also like expecting love at unexpected places, which felt like serendipity at times.
Mm-hmm.
So concatenating all these different elements in a seamless enough fashion so that there's a sense of continuity and it does not feel choppy or like things just standing out independently. So instead of like that, making it like a feel like a holistic whole with a sense of continuity. um, that was the challenging aspect, but I loved embracing that challenge, and I worked through it for the last few years slowly and cherishingly. And the interesting thing is that as these different elements of different flavors alternate within the book,
Mm-hmm.
there's always that underlying poignant theme of waiting for that final home, hopefully down the road. um, so yeah, so that was the good but substantial challenge in writing the book. But now it's done. I gave it my best. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? I really like it how you also, still have that positive attitude towards embracing challenges. And as what you have mentioned earlier, it's actually a good thing on, how to really interact with people as well. And,
Hmm.
interacting people, connecting to nature is actually, I must say that somehow it is like an easy way to start is really by looking for patterns. You
Right.
need to have patterns, stages, for example, just like seeing the nature, think about the
Hmm.
color, the texture, or let's
Hmm.
say shape,
Right.
and
Right.
how they are interacting with each other, just like human
Right.
connection.
Right.
The more you learn about the more you learn about natural elements, which
Hmm.
you mentioned earlier,
Hmm.
the more you'll really appreciate what you see.
Hmm.
And wow, that's just
I
so
agree. I
awesome.
agree. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just so awesome, Subs. Now, also, Subs, we wanted to know what is the significance of the title of your book?
Yeah, the title is also close to heart. I had decided the title a long
Nice.
time ago already, because, as
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned, literally during that time of life, some of the time was spent uh, making these spontaneous travels
Mm-hmm.
on dirt roads and gravel roads and exploring the backcountry, enjoying pastoral beauty and the beauty of the wild. Um, but at the same time, life itself felt like a journey on a gravel road, because there were never-ending surprises and delight on the roadside. Um, the thrill of being in a small hidden place, but at the same time, there was a constant fear of getting lost and the anxiety
Mm-hmm.
that came from not knowing what awaits at the end of the road. And by definition, the travel on a gravel road is a rough journey. So, of course, like life
Mm-hmm.
felt rough despite all the delights because of that uncertainty and the nomadic nature of life during that time. So, in my mind, the title, of course, has a double meaning, a profound double meaning.
Mm-hmm. Wow, and that's amazing because it's like you are actually, by the book title itself, the idea, creating this whole book, Suves, it's like you are really saying or reminding people that hey, don't just focus on the destination, but also see the journey.
Sure. Yeah,
Wow, and that's just so amazing.
that is
Now,
true.
I'm also curious, Subs.
Yeah.
Can you tell us, if you have a favorite part, or let's say favorite and least part, for publishing the book? Yeah, well, like, or what are your favorite and least part of publishing a book?
Um, the favorite part was the writing, like despite the challenges, so the crafting, like some so in my mind, within my
Mm-hmm.
humble my severe limitations as a
Mm-hmm.
as an aspiring writer or artist, um, I still gave it my best, and I embraced the challenge, and um, so although it like felt challenging at times, it was the favorite part, crafting an artwork, a grand artwork. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
like it felt to me, this humble aspiring artist. That's how it felt. I'm trying to um, craft a grand artwork. So that was the favorite
Mm-hmm.
part. The least favorite part was the technical bureaucratic paperwork kind of a phase that has never resonated with me. Everybody has to do it, so I do it when needed. But whenever
Mm-hmm.
something feels clerical or like just very mechanical, technical, without the creativity playing any role, my brain tends to shut off, and I generally am not fond of that kind of work. So there was a phase where I was having to edit and then like getting into the OCD mode and read one more time, and so that was like somewhat tedious. That was of course like when it was already in that final publication phase, and then of course like filling up all the paperwork, sometimes repeating myself time and again, okay, and then again editing and re-editing, and so that is the least favorite part. But given the delight it the completion of the project, the actual
Mm-hmm.
completion of the project gave me, that annoyance part that followed is still pales in comparison, to be honest.
Right. But you know what, Sue, despite all the challenges, you know what, I wanted to congratulate you for again having this book having this book a successful creation because, remember what I said earlier, you've been getting a lot of positive feedback from your readers.
Well,
Yes. And that being said, Subes, is there any things that you'd like to tell to people who would like to read your book? Or what do you want your readers? Let's start that. What do you want your readers to take away after reading your book? Right, a message
um,
to them. Mhm.
so I hope some people enjoy it more than anything as evocative narrative. So rather than trying to educate or edify people, which I also mentioned in my preface, um, I want people to enjoy the book as a. I hope that some people will enjoy the book just as a beautiful tale that is written in the voice of a poet. So that is what I hope for some prospective readers to take away from the book first and foremost. And as a contrast, what is important to emphasize as well is that did not mean I did not really intend this book to be a life lesson or life advice, or anything along those lines. Again, like it's not meant to educate or edify. That does not mean that depending on somebody's preferences, somebody's
Mhm.
artistic preferences, or if somebody else is a poet at heart, and other like details of a specific situation, somebody may not be able to derive some life advice from the book. But giving people life advice is not the prime about motivation behind the book. The motivation behind the
Mhm.
book is to craft something heartfelt and poetic, and hoping that some people will just love it for its poetic and aesthetic value.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Subes. And of course, really appreciate you for gracing with us today. Thank you so much for allowing Reader's Magnet to be part of this journey. So, yes, everyone, to our viewers out there, if you're interested to grab a copy of Mr. Sherbranil's Days book. So, again, this is available in Amazon.com, Barnes& and Noble, and of course, please do check his website. That is www.sherbranil-gravelroads.com, where you would be able to, of course, know more information about the author and, of course, the book itself. Again, Subs, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And also for our viewers out there, I would like to invite you all for to watch our live tomorrow. That's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern time for the announcement of our photo caption challenge. So that's going to be right after the Reader's Magnet author interview tomorrow. So please do check our live. And yes, again, going back, Mr. Shervinal Day, thank you so much. And yes, as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Thank you.
Leah, thank you so much.